Robert Mueller and his team have tens of thousands of Trump transition emails as part of the Russia investigation. The president says he thinks it's, quote, pretty sad that the special counsel got the emails. Lawyers for the transition say they were unlawfully obtained. Now, Mueller's spokesman says that is not true. Meanwhile, as CNN's Sarah Murray has been reporting, the president has been telling people that he expects to be exonerated and soon in the Russia investigation, and that the special counsel is going to write him a letter saying he has been cleared. Again, he expects this to happen soon. Now, Mueller and his team haven't given any indication that the investigation is in its final stages. And tonight, there is new reporting from the Washington Post. People with knowledge of the investigation said it could last at least another year. And members of Mueller's team have said they expect to be working through much of 2018 at the minimum. Joining me now, CNN political commentator, former Trump Transition Communications Director Jason Miller, CNN political commentator, former Obama White House Communications Director Jen Psaki, and CNN military analyst and retired Army Lieutenant General Mark Hertling. You know, Jason Miller, to you, and this gets to one of the problems that Sarah Murray was reporting on from sources close to the president. He thinks this investigation is going to be over soon. He thinks he's getting a letter soon that he is cleared in the Russia investigation, yet the Washington Post reports tonight it's going to go on for another year. How much of a problem is that?
Well, John, I don't think it's fundamentally a problem because I don't think that President Trump did anything wrong. And so whether this goes another couple of weeks or whether it goes on for another year, I don't think that's going to be an issue for him.
But Jason, the issue is, will he get upset? If it doesn't end soon, as apparently his lawyers have told him it will, is that going to set him off?
No, I think probably the American public is who's going to be upset here because we have this booming economy and all these great things to talk about. But after a year, there's still absolutely nothing that says that the Trump campaign did anything to collude with a foreign government in this election. And in fact, let's go to these emails that we're talking about here, these transition team emails. I thought the whole purpose of this was to talk about the campaign supposedly colluding with a foreign entity. But here we're talking about transition team emails. I mean, this is well after the campaign. And so I think at a certain point here, look, even though I don't think this fundamentally changes anything to do with the broader investigation, but with some of the news that we've seen lately with some of the agents being dismissed, or we've seen some of the folks at the DOJ, whether it be the gentleman who went to Hillary Clinton's election night party or some of the different things like that, I think most folks just want to see all the politicizing completely out of any sort of investigation. And after a year, if there's absolutely nothing that says that the campaign or President Trump did anything wrong, let's get moving with what we have to go on with the country here.
Jason, first of all, the transition. Michael Flynn, was just convicted of lying, admitted to lying to the FBI about conversations that happened during the transition. So the transition, obviously fertile legal ground for some people here. You brought up the transition emails. You were the communications director for the transition team. Did you have any expectation of privacy in your emails? Because according to the GSA deputy counsel, you and your colleagues signed agreements acknowledging that materials kept on these government servers were subject to monitoring and there was no expectation of privacy.
I assume in the modern era that anything that goes into emails is going to become public at some point, whether or another, and whether that's transition team or if you're working in the official government or anything else. And so I'll let the lawyers go and argue on that one. But again, going back to my initial point here, if this was supposedly about the campaign, including with a foreign entity, I think at a certain point here, the American public is realizing that that's no longer what this is about.
Well, we just don't know. We don't know because the investigation is still going on. We have yet to hear from Robert Mueller and his team what they found out. Jen Psaki, you also worked on a transition. Jason Miller just told us he had no expectation of privacy despite what transition lawyers are now saying now. I assume you didn't have any expectation of privacy in the transition you worked on. So why then make this argument if you're part of the Trump transition team? If it's not a real legal argument here, is this just politics to muddy the waters?
Of course it's politics. I think I remember distinctly our lawyers saying to us, all of your emails are going to go over to a .gov server. They're neither private nor privileged. And my bet is that is what every single transition team has been told since there was email. It's pretty clear on the motivation here. This is part of a orchestrated attack, an orchestrated campaign to lay the groundwork for firing Mueller. Yes, President Trump said he wasn't going to do that now, but one thing we've learned is not to believe what he says. What everybody should be worried about is if he takes a step to fire Mueller when Congress is out of session, because members of Congress won't be here, the Judiciary Committee won't be here, and we'll be in real trouble at that point.
But Jen, there's one part of this argument I don't understand, because right now it's Democrats saying that the president is going to fire Robert Mueller. It's Jackie Spear in the House and Adam Schiff suggesting he sees signs of it. Other people saying they see signs of it right now. The president says he's not going to. Isn't it possible that what the president and his allies are doing, and again, Richard Blumenthal, we had the Democratic senator on earlier in the show, he said he sees a coordinated Republican effort here. What if it's just to discredit the special counsel so that whenever he comes out with whatever he comes out with, that it's clouded by this political doubt?
It may be, and that's a fair point. It may be. I don't think we're out of the woods in him never firing Mueller. So I think we need to be wary of that. But it is certainly possible that he knows that in a year from now, 6 months from now, whenever they're done with the investigation, you mentioned the Washington Post reporting, that he's going to be in a place where Democrats may control the House. He may be at risk of impeachment, and he needs to give his partners and allies out there, whoever is left, an argument to be made on his behalf. This is a campaign that's been going on for months, though. It's not new to discredit Mueller.
You know, General Hertling, the president used an interesting phrase there about these transition emails. He said he thinks it's sad somehow that the special counsel has now possession of these emails. You know, you were in the military for a long time. You were a government employee for a very, very long time. Do you think it's sad that these government emails are now in the hands of the special counsel?
I don't. I think it's sad that he and the team didn't understand the rules that they were under when they were using these kind of accounts. First of all, I'll go back to what Jason said. He's absolutely right. No matter what kind of account you're on, expect your emails to get out if you're a high-level official. But if you're on a .gov or a .mil like I was on, and I've been on both .gov and .mil, some IT guy comes into you with a piece of paper and says, here's what you can expect. And you've got to ensure that these emails are clean and they're work-related and don't do personal stuff on it. John, I'll be honest with you, I was afraid to email my wife on my .gov and .mil machine at times, you know, picking up a gallon of milk at work. But, you know, it's interesting because if you're used to that kind of stuff, you understand the ethical and the moral requirements for using business email for business events. And when you're in government, like I was in the military, you know that you have to be transparent and professional when you're dealing with engagements on the network or engagements in person. So the use of the term sad, it's a favorite word of the president, doesn't apply here. His team knew this. These emails go into not only the GSA account, but this huge bureaucratic organization called the NARA, the National Archive and Regulation Administration. They keep them for months at a time to make sure history is recorded and that they can go back specifically for these kinds of things.
So from your lips, General, to the ears of anyone who might have a .gov or .mil email address in their lifetime, what would your message be?
Do business, be professional, and make sure you know that anybody is going to see those because they really are the business of government and it should be transparent.
All right, General Hertling, Jen Psaki, Jason Miller, great to have you with us. Thank you all very much. Have a great holiday if I don't see you again.